Hi, hope you're okay. So today's video is all about poppies. I needed to do a painting, I was doing a painting and it had poppies on it and I just wasn't really happy with the way they were coming out, so dedicated a bit of time to really understanding the anatomy of the poppy, the way the petals fall, the shape of the petals, the shape of the bulb when it's open, when it's closed, all these sorts of things. So I've made a video on it to share everything I've learned. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, first off, let's look at some poppies. Let's take and examine what they actually look like. So here's some lovely red poppies. I'll just move this out of the way temporarily and put this in here. So I was gonna think about the anatomy of a poppy. I'm going to do this with a pencil for now. It can go in different directions, so I just start with 3 poppies where we can see the middle. And we'll do 3 poppies where they're kind of like in this kind of shape. More like a triangle. And let's do them in different directions as well. Okay, so for this one, let's say the centre is bang on in the middle, and we want to do some petals. So I know from looking at these poppies that petals on poppies are roughly that sort of shape, and they're a bit sort of jaggedy at the edges. They're quite big and flat. So from there, I'm just going to use that outline to do some of these big petal shapes. Maybe do one more. Okay. And that works quite well. So let's imagine on this one, it's tilted in a different way. So the top, we can see the middle, but it's kind of up there. So we're going to use the circle again as our guide. But our petals are going to flow around that way instead. So it kind of looks like they're flopped backwards. Let's do one where the middle might be about here. So again, those big petals just roughly following the shape. And that just changes the dimension again. So let's do it with these ones. So let's imagine the kind of the stems are coming out here. Use that shape just to make some big poppy kind of like petals. So looking at my reference, you can see that some of them splay differently, so you just use your sort of base shape as a guide. Really mix up the shape and size of those petals. It's almost like the more kind of off the guide, the better, because you can see from the reference there's just they're all over the place. So let's get rid of our reference temporarily and bring our paints in. Get some painting on here. So to achieve a really nice light watercolour effect with these poppies, we're going to work in layers with plenty of water. So let's go with red first. Make a little wash. make it really thin. So nice and washy, so you've got plenty of water, just a hint of the red popping through. And I'm just gonna, this is a mop brush, so it does hold a lot. I'm gonna do those, fill in those petal shapes. Nice and simple. Just get that on there. Doesn't matter if you go outside the lines. Okay. So once you've done that, I'm going to change brushes to a smaller one just to get a bit more control. I'm going to go into that red, make a thicker wash. That is Windsor Red, by the way. And given that my paper is extremely wet, I'm going to take advantage of that and just drop it in the middle, because that's where I'm going to imagine the bulk of the colour is. Lovely. And then just move them around a bit. Must be quite warm in here. I think it's drying quite quickly, but that's okay. So notice I'm putting more water into the bits where the red isn't already there, because I want it to run. Okay, and that's fine for now because we are working in layers. Awesome. Right, let's do it on the other ones that are facing the other way. Let's try a different colour poppy. Let's imagine we've got some California poppies. Let's make a yellow. Again, nice and watery. Just filling in. The paper I'm using is quite cheap, so it's kind of resisting the watercolour, which is odd, but fine. We're just practicing. Find having some cheap watercolour paper on hand really frees you up and stops you worrying about, you know, making a mess or doing it wrong. It's just quite a handy thing to have in at all times. You can just let loose and not really worry about it, which is the key to making a good painting, to be honest. Okay, so let's do what we did with the red ones and just drop in some of that yellow at the base. I am also going to drop in a touch of the red, just because California poppies, have this gorgeous kind of golden hue. I've just mixed a bit of the red with a little bit of the yellow to make more of an orange. I'm just dropping that in just into the base. Nice and watery, so we're getting a bit of movement, that's good. Lovely. Then we're going to leave those to dry. Right, I got impatient and used the hairdryer on these because it takes a really long time. Anyway, but I did wait for quite a while, and because of that we've got some gorgeous blooms, little magic shapes happening here and there, so I'm really, really pleased with those. So let's go in with the second layer. Going back to my mop brush, it's a size 6 mop brush. Sticking up the wash a bit this time, let's see. Still want it to be nice and runny and flowy and watery. I don't want to go in there with a big thick line of paint. So let's do some more petals. but we won't do every single one. We'll just do a couple. Just with a nice thick bit of paint, I'm just gonna do that thing again where we drop it into the centre. Move it around a bit. Let's drop a bit over there. Okay. Do some petal shapes. And the joy really is just dropping it in and waiting. Just the gifts come afterwards. You don't get the immediate effect, which is something that I've learnt to love over the years with painting with watercolour. And like I say, you know, I did some poppies, and I really arrogantly thought that I would know instantly how to do them, and they just weren't looking very good. So I worked on it for a while, and hey presto, I'm actually happier because I studied the anatomy of the poppy. Let's leave those and go into the yellow. So what's quite nice is to go over and outside some of the ones you've already done, because you'll get these layers of paint. Where it crosses over, where you've got two layers, it'll look thicker, and it's just a gorgeous thing, because that does happen with petals in real life. You know, the light shines through some of them. So yeah, the more random, the better, remember. And remember, the petal shapes are sort of big and flat with poppies, big jaggedy edges. Okay, let's make up some of that gorgeous orange we made before. You could, if you're feeling brave and bold, you just add red, and then it'll make orange on the page. Really nice thing to do. Lovely. Right. Well, they're drying, and these have gone sort of semi-dry. I'm going to swap my brush again for a slightly smaller one. It isn't a mop brush, it's synthetic, size 7. So, size 7 round. Let's go into sepia, which is a really pigmented tone. And all I'm going to do is, in the centres, I'm just going to gently just drop in some paint there. Sorry, the light's bouncing off. You can't see. Let's do up there with that one. Down here. This one. Okay, lovely. And then on top of that black, because in our reference, which now let's show you back, the inside of the poppies is kind of green. There's a bit of black, but there's some yellow as well, so let's add that in. Okay, and then I'm going to rinse my brush, and just to kind of pull some of that heavy pigment down into the petals, I'm just going to do a couple of marks. I'm not going to go crazy with this because I don't want to do loads of detail. I want them to look really organic. So yeah, being really sparing. So with that sepia, on the California poppies, I haven't got a reference for you, but there is no kind of real dark. It's just, they're just a kind of a darker amber. That's what I'm making here. And I'm just going to put that at the base. You can't see the inside, but we know there's a bit of a touch more tone at the base. Gorgeous. Right, let's do some stems. So yellow, blue, or I could go straight into my green. Let's cheat and go straight into green. Why not? This is a bit of olive green and a bit of hooker's green. Hooker's green I find a bit synthetic looking. It doesn't look like, it sort of looks like the green on a pool table. It's rather than green you'd find in nature. So let's go back to our reference and look at the way the stems are. I love the way they're kind of, some of them are really jiggly, jaggedy. They're not smooth. So I'm gonna implement that in my stems on this piece. So let's take that from behind there. Quite nice. Let's put this one so it's coming through there. And this one. Something that's quite nice as well that you might want to play with and enjoy. This is really fun. So I'm gonna drop the green in there, so it connects to the bottom of the flower, which is lovely. But also I'm going to drop some water on it, and then I'm going to let it drop down, and that's going to be the stem when it dribbles, and it will. Just got to add a few more drops. Sorry, I've got no scanning at the screen. Go on. There we are. Quite fun, quite nice. Let's do it for this one as well. So I've just picked up a bit of sepia just to drop it in to that. Just tilt it this way and that so you get that nice jaggedy stem. Lovely. We're onto the flower. I'm going to take that as a happy accident. I'm sure it'll look nice. Let's just make it tilt this way though. Let's cross over. Lovely. So, a couple of my poppies have dribbled here. I think that's all right. Let's tidy it up though, just for the sake of neatness. And this one, because I've been moving the page around, it's really just blurred into nothing. So what I'm going to do is just bring that back. Bit of sepia. With a bit of yellow on top. they? Okay, let's get the hairdryer on it. Then all my pen marks will disappear where I had to flip to this Frixion pen. Because this, yeah, it disappears with heat, which is great. So yeah, these two pencils, so that's obviously not disappeared. You can still see those original outlines. These, all the pen's gone, and it's starting to creep back. Let's get them. Yeah, sometimes it creeps back in when the page cools, the pen comes back, but it will go eventually if you just persist with the hairdryer anyway. I'm really, really pleased with those. They look really delicate. They look like petals to me. I'm really happy with the way they've turned out. So the next step obviously is, if you want to move on to the next step, is think about a composition for like a full painting. You could maybe add a vase, or you could just do the poppies just coming out of something. But go forth and enjoy. Thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe as well, because I'm going to keep making these videos. Thanks guys, bye.